strong doctor you are.
She tried. Now, I'm going to let you guys ask a lot of questions, and we'll let these two do most of the talking, but just a little bit of an introduction. Gates McFadden, Dr. Beverly Crusher. You know, she has really deep nerd cred, of course. Most of you probably know this, but some of you may not. She worked with Jim Henson. Choreographed the ballroom scene in Labyrinth. Yes.
I did the entire choreography and puppet movement for Labyrinth.
Dark Crystal. Worked on Dark Crystal as well. Very much geek cred, and the Muppets Take Manhattan as well. You worked on that. She's done. She was in all of the Star Trek Next Generation movies. First Contact, all of them. You know what they are. Were you in a trauma film? Is it true you were in a trauma film? When Nature Calls? Is that true? That's geek cred of the best sort.
You know, I've never even seen that, but David Strathairn, who was in that, who later we did theater stuff together, and he's an amazing actor. David Strathairn, you know him, right? Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're just doing the intro, but yes, I did a lot of theater, and I had a long teaching career, and you know, what can I tell you?
Well, not only was David Strathairn in that, but G. Gordon Liddy was in it, and Maury Amsterdam was in it.
See, I didn't even, yeah, there
so
you
you
go.
didn't even know.
No, I didn't even know.
You didn't even know. And, and I, you know, Jonathan Frakes, of course, who I know you're...
Who is he?
Jonathan.
Do you know him?
Who will be on this stage tonight at 7 o'clock, and I'll be back here with John. And I can call him that because I went to school with him 30 some odd years ago, and I saw him just a little while ago, and he said to ask you, when you look at your bio, which birthday do you want to go by? That's
Which I like the one that has me being like youngest. You know why I did that? I'll tell you the story. I'm only 29, damn it. They think I look old. No, the thing was, is Richard Arnold came up to me. We had just started filming, and I had like this weird stalking experience in my 20s, and I was like very reticent to give out personal information. Of course, I was so stupid because, I mean, Paramount Studios had the birthday. And so I said, he said it's gonna be on a calendar, and I was like, okay, August 28th. I just guessed it, you know, and so that was always there. And I didn't know he was gonna have a calendar, actually. I just thought he wanted to know he was a fan. I found out later that he wasn't just a fan. He was, you know, an archivist and everything. And then I felt like an idiot, but by then I sort of went, you know, I get birthday cards twice. I get presents twice. I'm gonna keep it, you know? Anyway.
So that's why I told me to ask you that. And she rides a unicycle. I saw a video of it. She rides a unicycle. Now, let me introduce Denise Crosby. Or as John said, Pookie?
Pookie.
Where does that come from, Pookie?
You know, that name stuck. I have a feeling Johnny started that.
Yeah, I think he did. I
And
think he was the
on
one.
my dressing room, you know, we had these crap trailers that, you know, look like litter boxes. And
Really tight.
and that on my dressing room door, it said Pookie Yar. So, what can I tell you? And to this day, LeVar and Jonathan and they always say Pookie. And of course, Patrick says Pookie.
Oh, it's you, Pookie. Denise Crosby appeared in Playboy magazine.
That's a way to start an interview.
Look, you saw on the screen, didn't you? I mean,
You did not see that on the screen, did you?
you could be in Playboy today.
You know, that's awesome. I love you.
Pookie, man.
Yeah, of course. Well, but anyway, wait, you brought up Playboy. I mean, how do I go?
How did that happen? Because that was very early.
I wasn't, Playboy is such a great story, actually, because if it were not for Playboy magazine, I wouldn't have become an actor. And indirectly, that magazine was the reason, because a casting woman who was like the biggest casting director in Hollywood at the time, Lynn Stallmaster, saw those pictures and asked me to come in for a movie of the week called Diary of a Teenage Hitchhiker. I was living at my parents' home, and he got my home phone number through Playboy magazine and called me, and I began to study seriously, and he helped me get an agent, all from that magazine, because I did it in total rebellion from my family name.
Your grandfather, Denise Crosby, was he still? He was still around then. Yeah?
No, he had died by then. That certainly would have killed him.
Killed him. He probably rolled over in his grave.
That was the point of doing it. You're very rebellious. I was all of 20 years old when I did that, and had no intention of ever sitting up on a stage like this and talking to a lot of fans, but that was from that.
Certainly a lot of geek cred, if you will, for Denise Crosby as well. She's done all kinds of horror movies and television shows. She was in Pet Sematary, the Stephen King, episodes of The X-Files, The New Adventures of Superman on TV. She was Dexter's first victim on Dexter, which she was in a Tobe Hooper movie, a Mortuary. She was just in the penultimate episode of Walking Dead. She was in Red Shoe Diaries. That's horror, isn't it? I think. She was on the very first season of The Next Generation. 22 episodes, I think. Something like that. I think that's what I read today. 22 episodes.
Well, they did 26, right? 26. For a season, so I was
26.
in 25, I think.
And then you left the series, and somebody will ask about that, and you'll talk about that. And then you returned in a series of guest starring roles, and as the series went on. How many times did you return?
I came back in Yesterday's Enterprise, which then kind of paved the road for Tasha's daughter, Sela, to come forth. So I think I played Sela in maybe 4 or 5 episodes. You guys can know more than me. Yeah.
I saw the number, I didn't write it down, but and then you were in the final episode.
Yeah, that's right.
All Good Things. And you, but from one season, you just established, and it was a season that you didn't feel great about your work there, or you wanted to move on, and we'll talk about it. But somehow that one season established you as a beloved character. Isn't that amazing?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think should we have questions?
Yeah, all right, you guys can all ask questions. Are there mics set up down here so that people can come and ask questions? Is there just the one microphone, or do we have? Where's the other one? There's one here. So line up, and where's the other one? There's this one here, and there's one over there. So we'll go back and forth, all right? We'll do it that way. Let's start over here, because that's the one I saw first. Go ahead. Get up really close to the microphone. What's your name? What do you want to ask?
Hi, my name's Morgan, and I was wondering why you both wanted to do Star Trek.
Wow. Hi, Morgan.
Well, you both wanted to do Star Trek.
Well, actually, I turned it down twice before I said yes for the 3rd time. Because I wanted to do, I've always been passionate about theater. I did a lot of theater in New York. I acted in a lot of plays. And I wanted to work with Linda Hunt, and Linda Hunt was doing a play and Des McAnuff was directing, and so I turned it down to go do a job in a theater, The Matchmaker by Thornton Wilder. And then I was lucky enough I was lucky enough to be asked again. And, you know, I thought about it, and I thought there's a reason, sort of something in the universe. You know how you get that feeling, you say, why am I lucky enough to have something keep coming in front of me? And I really went, I should think about this, and maybe I should do this. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. It has been, I've really evolved as a person through all of the years of Star Trek. I first was frightened of fans. I really was, and then I became like amazed by fans. And today, it's pretty extraordinary when you have 3 generations who come up and they say, we all watch it and we watched it together. And there's someone who's this tall, someone who's this tall. You know, it's pretty remarkable to me. And when something like in the panel last night, Feet, who I don't know if he's in the audience or not, but it was pretty remarkable to me the way it's affected people's lives. I don't take any personal credit. I think it was the bond of everybody. And Patrick was an incredible captain. But I did it because at the time it was a job. But you know what? It became more than that later. It really taught me a lot about things in a certain way, and about myself. I also believe very much in space and the space program in the future, so that's why I did it.
Hi, Morgan. You know, I was starting out in my career. I was pretty young and just getting going. I'd never been on a TV series before. I'd done, you know, some guest parts, but I was just beginning, and so I had watched all the original Star Trek, the classic Star Trek. I used to watch it every night at 5 o'clock with my neighbor who was 84, and I was 18. And we used to, which tells you exactly what Gates was talking about, how many generations together can share this show. And so when I got the call and got the script, I wasn't told much. I was a little concerned that they were remaking Star Trek. I thought, uh-oh, but Gene Roddenberry was doing it himself, so that was comforting and reassuring. And then the process began. I think I had to do 5 different auditions. I started out reading for the part of Counselor Troy, and Marina was reading for the part of Tasha Yar. And somewhere in the midst of it all, they switched us, and so it began. It was my first real regular part on a TV series.
Can I ask Morgan a question? Morgan, why do you watch Star Trek, The Next Generation?
Because I think it's really cool.
That's a great audience to say. I've never seen it. Who's over here? What's your name? What's your question?
Hi, my name is Kirsten, and I just wanted to say that the 2 of you, I was raised by a single mother in a religion where they kind of looked down on her for being a single mother. And we also weren't allowed to have television, but apparently my mom was very much a heathen and a sinner because we had one channel. We had one channel, and the one channel we watched Star Trek every day, the original, and we were all so excited when we found out that there was, and we waited and we watched it, and having a mother who was a very strong, independent woman, watching the 2 of you, you were the first 2 really strong female role models in sci-fi.
Thank you.
And you really taught me how to stand up for myself and be graceful. And just, I really thank you for that, for all that. And I was wondering, did you have any idea that you would be, I don't know if feminist is the right word, but...
I think we got, did you get all that, Gates?
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I think, I think when Gene talked, I talked about it a little bit in the panel last night. Gene, when he was hiring me, he really said, I feel there's so many single mothers in this country. I feel it's important, and so many of them, well, of course, if you have quite a few kids, that's like more than a full-time job. But also, most women have at least one job that they're doing, and it's very hard, especially if it's something they're passionate about. And in fact, fathers and mothers sometimes have more than one job each. So it's not that easy to raise children, and I think it's a great thing to have role models of people who are working and who are struggling, but who try to get along. And I've learned how much of a role model it was. I certainly didn't feel like a role model, but and I struggled as a parent just like anybody else does, right? I mean, it's like an incredible to raise children well is really hard. I know he saved our ass on the ship time after time, so I taught him a lot of stuff. Okay.
You know, I come from a single mother. So I have great respect for women that my mother stood up against a huge wall of hostility and fought some good battles to keep me. And so I know that I was channeling that with Tasha Yar. There's no doubt in my mind. And as a matter of fact, with Sela as well. Both, even though Sela had, some things to work out, they both, are women that were raised, without, well, Tasha was raised with no one, so, but what a wonderful compliment. There's no way I could have ever seen this happening, so this is a remarkable gift, and, what a fine woman you are, so thank you.
Let's go over here now. What's your name, sir?
I'm Jacob. Denise Gates, I've had crushes on you both since the show premiered. I'd be available to you.
I'll keep that in mind.
My question for you both is like when it came to merchandising, action figures, lunchbox, t-shirts, what was that experience like when you first came across that?
Oh, I've got to go to. All right, so I was, in the beginning, Paramount used to give us 1,000 photos and stuff. We'd be in our trailers signing, and we would just, send them off. And I replied to all my fan mail, and then I don't know what season it was. It must have been when I came back in the third season. No, it had to be even longer. What am I saying? The first action figure came out. I had a child. Let me put it that way. Okay, so he was little, and he was maybe 1.5 or 2 or something, 2. And he saw me signing stuff, and they were showing us the dolls because of the action figures, and he went, "Oh, a mommy doll." Because he had always gone to the trailer, and Brent was his godfather, so he really didn't know what either Michael Dorn or Brent looked like without makeup, but he was like, that was Uncle Brent, and he liked Worf. He wasn't afraid of Worf. Didn't know who Michael Dorn was at all. And I mean, that's where he learned how to walk. So that was one of my, I went, that's bad. And then also when we would sign these autographs, I was doing it because we were supposed to do it. And he said, "Mommy, stop signing your face. Come play with me." And I went, okay, there's something wrong here. And so I said, I will stop right now. Okay, that's really weird, right? So I stopped doing it, and that's why I stopped doing conventions for a while too, because it was a weird experience, and I didn't want him to think I was anything but mom.
But you do a weird thing on Tumblr with your action figure.
I do very weird things on Tumblr with my action figure. That was my way of dealing with all of the licensing. I thought it was very funny to have encounters. So I have 1/8 Bev and I have the Pez, and 1/8 Bev sometimes encounters 1/8 Picard. And anyway, I have fun with it, and it's very tongue-in-cheek, and I actually I actually have fun with it. So check out the theater website, and you can see all the photos.
And they're attaching our action figures as well.
One of my favorite stories involving my action figure, which I too have a son, and I wouldn't let him near mine, at all, because I thought it would be very confusing, and now it's like he thinks I look like a transvestite most of the time. But my favorite, I was at a Comic-Con. This is years ago in Pasadena, local in LA, a suburb of LA, and I had just been to the Sundance Film Festival. Perfect, we're in Salt Lake City, and I saw for the first time a Quentin Tarantino movie for the very first time, which was Reservoir Dogs, premiered at the Sundance Film Festival, and it won everything. I mean, clearly Quentin Tarantino was going to be a rock star. So, I'm standing, I'm signing, I'm just like looking up, and suddenly I look up, and Quentin Tarantino is standing in line at the Comic-Con with my action figure. And I looked up and I went, oh my God. Oh my God. Are you Quentin Tarantino? And he said, yeah. And he's like so animated. And I went, I just saw your amazing movie at Sundance. It was like unbelievable. And he goes, oh, thanks. And I said, you want my action figure? And he goes, yeah. I'm gonna put it on my mantle next to my John Travolta Saturday Night Fever action figure. And I felt, man, this is it. I've made it. And so I'm sure John Travolta and I are like, dancing together as action figures on Quentin's mantle somewhere.
Nice. Let's go over here.
Hi. So you sort of touched on it, my question, but I was just wondering why you both ended up leaving the show and what brought you back.
Gates left for a season and came
Well,
back.
I got fired. I got fired because I disagreed with one of the writers about some things, and I think, I'd go down if I felt something was sexist or racist, and I'd say, I think this is a little racist or this is a little sexist or something, and apparently that sort of didn't go down well. And so at the end, it was a big surprise to me. At the end of the season, he had apparently, I heard this from one of the other producers, that he said it's either her or me. And so they let me go. And they brought in someone else, and that was okay. I went to New York, I did a really interesting David Williamson play, and I did a movie, Hunt for Red October, and it was all right. And then Patrick called me and said, darling, would you ever consider coming back? And then I started to get some other calls, and they asked me back, and then he was fired. But I have to tell you, my whole feeling about fans changed. I could not believe the letters in the campaign. I don't even know what really had to do with it, but I know it certainly didn't Hoyt, that all these people just really, it was an amazing amount of letters, which I read every single one, and I finally went, you know what, you're an idiot not to appreciate these fans. You are a complete idiot. And I really, people would write letters about themselves, and I got really humbled. And I'm grateful for you guys, whoever, ever helped.
Okay, well, wow, how do I always have to frame this in a way, because it's such a personal journey, for me as an actor, what transpired. I was getting increasingly concerned that this was going to end up to be a background job, you know, that I was going to stand on that horseshoe, which I was, day in and day out, and have, you know, once in a while, have to say, aye, aye, Captain. And
We had no scenes. We never had one scene, our characters
No,
together. The women
no.
really never did, except for like once.
And television, this is the late 80s, and things are changing in television. And, you know, ensemble casts are having multiple 3 and 4 storylines going on simultaneously per show. And I thought that's what it would be. That it would, you know, I wasn't looking to be the star of the show, but I thought I would have an engaging storyline throughout. And I was increasingly seeing that that wasn't going to happen. And at first, you know, they kind of tell you it will, you know, to quiet you down and hush the little children. But I kept, you know, trying to push and trying to not, you know, find out, where is this going? Is this? And I was increasingly getting more and more frustrated. And the last thing I wanted to do was bring that energy onto the show. It wasn't fair to them, and it wasn't fair to me to be frustrated like that.
You weren't happy. We can.
And it was, I made the decision to leave. Now, the only way that was ever possible was that Gene Roddenberry and I had a final conversation where I was brought into his office, and he said, I understand you want to leave the show. And I said, well, where is this character going? I mean, what am I doing? Will it change? Is it going to get better? He said, I have to be honest with you, it will not get better. The stories will always involve the captain, Data, and the first officer. That's what it was like in the classic. That's a formula I know, and I'm not changing it. And I said, and he said, I don't want you to leave, but I understand why you would want to. So then I made the decision to go.
And you know, and it's interesting because I think there is a lot of times where they do tell you when they want you to come on board, oh, it's going to be this. I was absolutely told that I was going to be the love interest of Picard, that all these other things were going to happen, and I know that the character was very popular that first season. But I think it was difficult for maybe Gene and some of the writers because they had to come up with these new stories, and some of the first year scripts were derivative a bit of the first series. And then there were new writers that were also brought on, and by the time I came back, they were getting all these Pulaski scripts, Pulaski, and so it took a while. It takes a while because there's such an advance with the writing to get the scripts back.
Which is true. It changed, you know, but of course I couldn't, you know, have foreseen that. But you know, it did, and you know, and I mean this in all due respect, it changed once Gene left and Michael Piller came onto the show. And it was, you know, it takes a while. It takes a while. So that was that. It wasn't with any hostility or any. There was no, you know, no event that happened. And it wasn't a rash decision. I spent a number of months trying to figure out if it was the right thing for me to do. And you know, there was no other job I was going to. I was employed one day and unemployed the next. So it wasn't for that.
And don't you think maybe it was a little hard, for some of the, like that first season writers, since, I mean, they didn't have as much of that experience of writing for strong female characters that a lot of writers do now, although it always could get better. And I think that's one of the reasons it was hard for them. Like, one of my complaints was exactly what I was joking about earlier. I said, you know, I think it's great that Wesley has talks with the captain and number one. He needs a male figure in his life. But I also feel that it does a disservice to single mothers in this country to never have anything other than a, oh honey, here's your lunchbox, come on, and shut up, Wesley. I feel that I felt that there also needed to be some things where you really have to teach your child discipline and how, you know, you have to, a lot of lessons that are not easy, and you have to be a mentor to your child as well. And I thought that, and that was the kind of thing that they didn't really have an experience of having a strong female who, as you've had to do in your life, I've had to do with my son, you know, we have serious conversations.
All right, let's go over here. What's your name?
Abby.
Abby, go ahead.
Abby!
Hey, thanks for you, Denise. May I have my book back?
Oh, someone has it.
Who has it?
Backstage, someone has it. Abby, for all of you in the dark here, Abby gave me a copy of Pet Sematary to sign, and it was one I hadn't seen with a new introduction from Stephen King. So I asked if I could borrow it to read it, and now she's asking for it back.